So there are some very important updates and data for Dogecoin and the overall crypto market. And I think this is exactly what every crypto holder needs to know. And let's first see the crypto market standings. So we can see here that the overall market is still moving sideways, and there is still a lot of red in the market right now. And we can see here that there is still a lot of fear sentiment in the market right now. In fact, the crypto fear and greed index has dropped to 12 from 13. And this means that investors are still not coming to the crypto market, and there is still some sell-off. However, we can see here that there is a slight improvement from last day, and we can see here that Bitcoin and some other cryptos have moved up slightly. But this doesn't mean that the market is going to recover right away. In fact, we can expect yet another drop during this week. But the good thing is that there are some positive things happening for Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and others. For example, after 5 weeks of constant outflows, institutional investment is finally trickling back into crypto funds with Bitcoin the asset of choice. And nearly $14 million has been returned to Bitcoin institutional funds over the past week. And the positive thing is that it is the first time in 5 weeks that there has been a net positive inflow as $14 million re-entered the space with investors buying the dip. So this is a very positive thing for crypto space. This is because these inflows came during a period of significant price weakness. And this suggests that institutional investors are seeing this dip as a buying opportunity at current price levels. And we can see here that during the last few weeks of 2021, the institutional investment in crypto funds was fading away. In fact, the total assets under management are now around $51 billion, the lowest since early August 2021. And it has fallen about 41% from the $86 billion November 2021 peak. But it appears that institutional investors were on the sidelines and they were waiting for price dips in the cryptos market to buy the dips. And crypto analyst Willy Woo has also stated that there is now more evidence that institutional money is starting to come back in. And we can also see here on this chart that there is a significant coin movement to and from whale holders. And it is clear that institutional investors have started to buy the dips and invest in Bitcoin for the long term. So as I said, this is a very positive thing for the crypto market, especially when we are seeing a market-wide downtrend for some days now. And if this institutional investment inflow continues to rise in the coming weeks, then I think that it will encourage investors to invest in the assets as well. This will bring back investors' confidence in the crypto market. And this is why I think it can turn out to be a major catalyst that could help in the revival of Dogecoin, Bitcoin, and other cryptos. And now there is some more important data showing us when we can expect a reversal from the cryptos market. But I'll come to it later. Let's first see Dogecoin's current price movements. So we can see here that Dogecoin is still moving sideways. And we know that Dogecoin looked to be starting the previous week in a promising fashion as it booked when Tesla announced it is accepting Doge payments. However, the sentiment quickly deteriorated after a series of events last week as the geopolitical situation between Russia and the US worsened. And seeing this, market participants decided to stay on the sidelines ahead of the Federal Reserve rate decision later this week. And due to all these reasons, it appears that bears will gain some control and may produce another price drop. However, we may say things are reversed by the end of this week. This is because we know that the Fed meeting is going to happen on 26th this month. And as I have explained before, it is more likely that we will hear some positive news. Besides, we have just seen how institutional investment is coming back to the crypto market. So things can start to shape up nicely for Doge by the end of this week, and we can expect a trend reversal from Dogecoin. And now let's come to Bitcoin for a minute. So overall, Bitcoin seems to have lost almost half of its value since its high in November, with its price plunging consistently since the start of this year. In fact, Bitcoin has actually plummeted over 20% since the beginning of 2022. And currently, we can see here that after the recent sell-off, Bitcoin has regained support above the 35K range. However, the price is likely to continue lower below the channel during this week. This is because the bears are gaining momentum, and there is a risk of another decline. Moreover, retail investors have been definitely getting quite jittery about Bitcoin ever since the geopolitical situation between Russia and the US worsened. But as I said before, institutional investment is rising for Bitcoin and related funds. So there are strong chances that Bitcoin will regain some momentum by the end of this week. And another thing is that the Coinbase Premium Index is fluctuating, and it is indicating to us that the selling pressure for Bitcoin mostly came from the US institutional investors during last week. And we can see here that a lot of the selling pressure came from Coinbase Premium. And what that means is that a majority of Bitcoin being sold has absolutely come from the US investors. But as I said before, things are now changing for Bitcoin and other cryptos, and institutional investors are now returning to the crypto market. So I believe that this is very, very bullish for Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and other cryptos. And this is exactly why I think that we are going to see the market starting a recovery phase by the end of this week. And now, as promised, let's come to some other important data for Bitcoin. And it is also very important for other cryptos, especially Doge. So the thing is that amid this fall in the price of Bitcoin, its relative strength index has fallen to the lowest point in 2 years. And we know that the relative strength index is one of the most popular technical indicators in market analysis of Bitcoin. And as I said, it has now reached extremely low values previously observed back in March 2020, which were caused by the global financial crisis. And during this previous drop, the value went below the range of 25 on the indicator back in March of 2020. And when it happened, Bitcoin reversed almost immediately, reaching a local high of $10,000. And since the RSI is again at this low level, it is indicating to us that Bitcoin can again move up and come out of this price crash. And we are now seeing that crypto analyst Matthew Hyland has pointed out the same thing. He has stated that the monthly RSI of Bitcoin is now approaching the levels that have been historically the same of the best buying opportunities in the entire history of Bitcoin. And we can see here that there is a huge oversold buying opportunity here. And we have seen this back in 2015, 2019, and briefly in 2021. And we are seeing it here again. And when this happened before, Bitcoin went for a huge rise to the upside. So this is just more evidence that Bitcoin has hit the bottom. And this is why I think that this crash is going to be over by the end of this week. And as per crypto investor Lark Davis, investors should take advantage of this opportunity and buy this dip for Bitcoin. And Lark Davis, who accurately predicted Bitcoin's lowest point during the 2018 bear market, believes that Bitcoin will record new all-time highs this year despite the multiple price corrections that the coin saw lately. So if he has given some correct predictions previously, I think his latest prediction can also come true. And while Bitcoin starts to move up, I think the current price drop is a great buying opportunity. And there is more and more evidence that this could be one of the biggest accumulations in history. And we can see here that we had a macro top when Bitcoin's price hit 65K, and we had a macro bottom which was driven by macro fundamentals and real fundamentals. And then we had a secondary top which was just below the all-time highs. And then we had this whole price drop for Bitcoin that we are experiencing right now. And we can see here on this chart that Bitcoin has a first rally and then another rally. And then it saw rejection at the 20-day exponential moving average. And then it had the third rally, and then we saw two dumps back to the logarithmic curve at 39 level. And right now, we are approaching the fourth rally for Bitcoin. And this rally is looking more promising because Bitcoin is now pretty close to break back above the 50 to 20-day exponential moving average. And if there is no black swan event, then Bitcoin's price could start to test wave 3 of the Elliott wave and then consolidate before going up to the top. So seeing this, I still believe that Bitcoin is going to move to the top side. And the most important catalyst for Bitcoin is going to be this rise in institutional investment. And we have seen before that it can drive Bitcoin's price to the upside. So this time again, Bitcoin can manage to move up. And most importantly, we may see it start the recovery phase by the end of this week. And since we have seen these bullish things for Bitcoin, I think they are equally bullish for Dogecoin. And we can see here that Dogecoin's price correlation with Bitcoin is pretty high. Moreover, a majority of Bitcoin holders also invest in Doge. So this means that a bullish outlook for Bitcoin is also bullish for Doge. All in all, despite this market-wide crash, Doge can still manage to move up in the future.